So this video is a little bit different from some of the other ones that I've been doing because in this video I'm actually going to, over the course of several months, remake an old outfit, an old costume that taking something out of the archives and breathing some new life into it. So this is part of my Fire Fairy costume that I made, oh golly, in the early 2000s when I first started going to Burning Man, and I got all inspired by light up clothing to begin with. So this was one of my original light up clothing designs. I had a handful of other ones that I'll make other videos about, but this was one of my first forays into working with electroluminescent wire. And so as you can see, the three different light colors, red, orange, and yellow, are in this linear pattern. So this is a slightly different technology to LEDs. It also requires these huge battery packs, and because this is 12 volts worth of battery, and then this high voltage driver, and you can also probably hear the sound that it's making. It's a really high-pitched whine. And you can see that the lights have gotten damaged in storage. They're not, completely all the way around making circles. So part of my projects over the next few months, or maybe years, we'll see how long it takes me to do this, but I'm at least gonna give you some before imagery so you can see what it looked like before the rehab. But yeah, I've hung on to it because I put a lot of work into it. This was a whole lot of hand sewing and soldering EL wires, a pain in the butt. And I wanted, it was something that was just too good to get rid of, but it also wasn't perfect. So I'm actually excited to kind of revisit it and make it into something new and exciting and hopefully lovely. And maybe you'll see me wearing it at some event coming up soon. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So this is from before I knew how to do LEDs in clothing. So this is an older technology. This is EL wire, which is like an electroluminescent product that gives you this beautiful linear light. And for each of these, I actually took a little loop-de-doo and I wanted that like kind of triangular fiery shape. But one of the big downsides of EL wire, and the reason why I eventually abandoned it as a medium for art, is because it is fragile. And so you can see, there was originally like a red ring all the way around, and there was an orange ring all the way around, and a yellow ring all the way around. And it has broken in several different places, and it's just really a pain in the butt to solder and repair. And so I'm really looking forward to remaking this into something vital and lovely using the technology and skills that I now have at my disposal, as opposed to what I had, 15 odd years ago, 17, 18 years ago, maybe, a long time ago. But it's fun to hold on to old projects and maybe revisit them and breathe new life into them at some point. Besides the fact that this is a really big, this and this are like, you have to have that in the pocket. And that is a lot of technology to have in your pocket, especially with a tutu. So yeah, so I look forward to remaking this into something that's more wearable and more comfortable and cuter. Hooray. So here I am, many months later, with a box full of recently washed organza that's all disassembled, everything's all ripped up, and a dye bath on my outdoor stove, my grill. It's just about ready to go. It's a nice kind of orange color with a little bit of brown in it, and we're gonna take the next step on reviving my fire outfit. In the meantime, since you last saw me, I have come up with a really ambitious design that I'm hoping is going to turn out and actually look a little bit more like a real fire and not just a cartoon fire. So the first step is to make this a little bit more like embers and a little less like daffodil yellow. So we'll see how it turns out. I hope the dye bath is the right color, and dyeing is always a little bit magical because you never know how it's going to turn out. So here we go. Here we are about 30 minutes later. and it's looking really good. I ended up actually pulling out some of my RIT dye. I had just been using iDye Poly because this is obviously 100% polyester organza, but I only had orange and brown, and it wasn't getting dark enough, so I just whipped out all of the rest of this bottle. This was like most of the bottle of the RIT dye, which usually doesn't do so well on poly, so I'm not sure that the finished product is going to be quite so intense, but we'll just have to see. It's very exciting. Dye magic. So here we are, about a year and a half after starting this whole revamp project of the Fire Fairy outfit that I made all those many years ago, 20 years ago actually, if we're counting. And here it is, revived and manifested in such a much more amazing and natural and mythic way. I feel so happy with how it turned out. It's pushing all the right buttons. It's like regal and magical and goddess-like and all the different things that I didn't really quite capture originally. So a little bit more about how I actually made it happen, because I didn't record a whole lot of videos in the very last little push towards the fashion show at Clockwork Alchemy 2023, which was what this ended up being for. I ended up coding the whole thing in MakeCode, which is my current favorite tool for coding, where I don't actually have to like get in there and like type all the words and get all the syntax right and everything. It's a really nice like drag and drop kind of editor. And so I have an Adafruit Gemma board that's running the lights and the motor effects. And that was a little fun because there's only 6 pads on the board, and so I had to sort of commit to which one was going to do which, and there's kind of a limited number of items you can operate using that board. The headdress is a separate element, so it's just static batteries, so it's always on. But the skirt I was able to code it to have that like kind of flickery effect. And I didn't talk about this in the other parts of this video, but basically the overskirt that's attached to the corset has motors in it that draw up the hemline of the skirt, of the overskirt, to reveal more of the fire underneath. And as I kept working on this project, I kept thinking about that part of the campfire when all of the yellow flames have burned down and all you have are the red and orange embers. Because it's always so magical, because you don't know, it's like you don't know what's moving. It's like, is there flames in there, or is it the cooler air, or is it the hotter air that's sort of making the whole thing have that mirage effect? So that was why I really wanted to integrate the motor effects into this outfit, because I thought that would be appropriate. It wouldn't just be, kind of a whiz bang thing. It would actually fit with what I was going for in the design, aesthetic. And yeah, I noticed something really wild at the fashion show, which was that because the motors were kind of moving slowly, like I didn't want them to be super fast, it actually took, like most people who saw the dress in the fashion show didn't see that it was moving, because it takes about 10 or 15 seconds of actually watching it to notice, if you don't know that it's happening, to notice that the hem is being pulled up. And so I watched a lot of people, taking still images and like snap, snap, snap. And then I'm like, but wait, you gotta see, wait, hold on, don't go so fast. So I feel like there's a life lesson in this, which is that sometimes the most amazing experiences are available to you when you slow down. When you take the time to actually look at what's around you and really observe and sort of take it all in, and not just, you're not necessarily going to get everything right away instantly by taking a snapshot. Sometimes the slow approach gets you a whole different kind of experience that you may not have been looking for. So that's like life lesson number 1. Life lesson number 2, which is particularly relevant to me and my process as an artist, is that it's okay to not get something right the first time. So something that I struggle with a lot is there's this weird negative self-talk that comes up when I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get this right the first time. I'm not going to do it because I want to get it right the first time, or I'm just not going to do it, which is kind of toxic, actually. But I struggle with this because I'm a perfectionist. Who isn't? You know, what artist isn't a perfectionist? And so if I'm not going to get it right the first time, I'm like, well, why bother if I'm not going to get it right? So being able to revisit, literally making over something that I had before, didn't quite get the first time, didn't quite have all the knowledge and skills, and, you know, like I tried it and it was great and I put a lot of work into it. But I now have, you know, 20 years later, like I first made the first Fire Fairy outfit in 2003. It is now 2023. It's literally 20 years later. I have so many more skills. I have so much more knowledge and experience and patience. And, you know, I have a whole different range of abilities than I did 20 years ago. And, you know, and a really strong aesthetic sense, fabrication skills, all of that stuff that I didn't have at that time. So to be able to come back and literally take, you know, the elements of the piece, this was part of the skirt that I had before, now it is made into another thing that is such, it's the same, but it's different, and it's so much closer to what I wanted, which was actual fire. It wasn't like cartoon fire. It wasn't some, you know, anime character's vision of fire. It was actually like something realistic and regal and beautiful and goddess-like, and all of this stuff that I find so inspiring in my art, you know, in my work, that it really, I think has been a very healing experience for me to set aside that negative self-talk and say, you know what? So what? So what? You spent tens of hundreds of hours, probably not, you know, a couple hundred, I don't know. I don't remember, but a lot of hours, many hours. It felt like a lot, working on this thing, and it didn't come out the way you wanted it to. And that's okay. You can set that aside. That's time that's passed. You don't get it back. Let's do it again. Let's try it again. Let's see what we come up with, and really just open myself up to that experience of trying something again. I'm so happy with how it turned out. So that part has been really healing and kind of cathartic for me. So yeah, I am so excited to do new stuff, and to do new stuff with motors. That's like a whole different kettle of fish. So I'm really thrilled to have some great ideas for Clockwork Alchemy's next fashion show next year in 2024, and some other things. And just, you know, it's really fun to be able to do these, you know, masterpieces, not because I'm going to sell them, but because I actually just want to try and make something really spectacular and stretch my wings as an artist. So that part has been very liberating, and I have some great ideas. I'm not going to share them with you now, but just know that there's some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. So, you know, follow me on Facebook, join my Facebook group. You'll see little previews. I always try to like include some fun little previews before stuff comes out, just because I want to keep people excited about it. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to show you what I've got coming down the pipeline. Very exciting. So yeah.